Welcome to Doors to Hope and Healing, an inside look at the many facets of work that is happening at the Department of Children and Families, between our staff, the families we serve, and our community partners. My name is Jaqueline Ford. I have had the honor of working for the department for almost 30 years. And although I may be familiar with many of the topics we bring to you, I have invited experts in those fields to help us dispel the myths and misconceptions that can often be barriers to our work. Join us as we open our doors and invite you to have a seat at our table. TJ and Kristen, thank you so much for being on the set of Doors to Hope and Healing today. It's great to have on a foster parents who are walking the walk and helping the children that are in our program. And with this being National Foster Care Awareness Month, it's wonderful to have you both on. And the show, for our viewers that are watching, and many of them may be thinking, do I want to foster or can I foster? You're going to be able to shed that light that it doesn't take a perfect parent to care for our kids. So before we get started, if you can just introduce yourselves. TJ?
Yes, I'm TJ Mikulski. I'm the Associate Vice President of Permanency Services at the Village, which means I oversee the foster care program.
Mm-hmm. Good, thank you. How long have you been there?
I've been there 8 years.
8 years.
And I'm Kristen Mikulski. I'm not in the foster care world in terms of my career, but we've been doing this for, I don't know, how long do you think we've been fostering? 10 years?
On and off, yeah.
Yeah, so.
That's a long time in
Yeah.
your lives together. So let's start there. What initially inspired you to become a foster parent? I know TJ, you're this is your life at work, and we were talking about work life and home life balance, and what you're doing at work, you can't leave when you go home because you have children that need you and that you're committing to. What inspired you both to become foster parents?
Yeah, I think, this is our a second journey into foster care. We were licensed families, I'd say several years ago. I think when we first came in about 10 years ago, and we took in a young man out of CJTS. He was a former client of mine when I was at Casey Family Services. And I was engaged in the permanency work in terms of finding birth family and permanent homes or adoptive families for kids that were stuck in foster care. And I was approached about a former client because he brought me up as somebody important in his life. And so we agreed at the time. We had our youngest two were in high school, and we had the space, we had plenty of room at home, and our careers were in places where we were stable, and we agreed to take him in, and we did for quite a while. I reunified with his birth mom, and as a matter of fact, she and I continue to stay connected. And we were a bridge for him to get out of CJTS, engage in the community, get a job, save some money, and then move on to independent living, which was his goal. And then we took in another teenager at the time. And then we took a break for a little while, and then we came back for the young person in our home now.
And when you first became licensed, was it a special study license for that boy?
Yes.
Or did you, and then so from there you went on to become traditional licensed foster parents?
Yeah, at that point it was with Aspire. And now I think we're what we call a special study, but we're getting services through CHR.
Okay, for the child you have in your home now.
Right.
And what made you think about fostering adolescents? I know that's a difficult it's hard to be a kid anyway, a teenager in this time that we're in our society, but to be a foster child is just makes it more difficult for that journey. What made you decide to commit to adolescence?
I actually prefer that age. I mean, maybe not in general in life,
Yes.
Because it's tough, and I know I was tough too as a kid. But I just think it's such an important part of your life where you have so many incredibly important decisions that you have to make. And even if you have a very solid family in place, those decisions are hard to make and to take. Then individuals who are unfortunately in the system, it's that much harder. So really wanting to give them the resources to hopefully be able to do, whatever they want to make the next step forward. And we feel that we, not always, and we're not perfect, but we certainly try our best. And we do have a lot of resources in terms of, our different, careers and things like that. And it's rewarding. It's hard. but it's rewarding to really see these kids kind of take off and be successful where maybe they wouldn't have been before. So
yeah, well, on behalf of DCF, I thank you both for stepping up to take our adolescents in, and you're doing, such a wonderful job. Can you share some insight about obtaining your therapeutic foster care license? What was that process like for you?
We didn't get the therapeutic license yet.
Okay.
We're still in the core level of care right now because we're a special study. So we haven't gone through that this time. We have, though, taken the TIPS MAPS training and gone through the whole study, the home study, the background checks, we still did all the background checks and, all the testing that goes. There seems to be a lot of hoops that you need to jump through. And I think they all make sense, right? You want to make sure that the home environment is stable and the parents who are coming forward to do this work, are solid, right? Like they, and so I think that makes sense, but there are a lot. So, but I think that it gives us a nice opportunity to get to know the various workers in our lives that are come to do, whether it's the home study or the home check or the ongoing support from the private agency for us. CHR has provided a FFT team, which is a therapist and a family support specialist that work with us as a family. And that's been really nice. It's been really supportive as it helps us move from, where we are with a young person by ourselves to helping him and us together.
Because
forward.
every child's different, right?
Everyone
that you're caring for. And you made mention that you're in touch with the family of your first child. And I know that probably back then we didn't talk about QPI, the Quality Parenting Initiative, which is just, the best interest for all involved, right? But do you still remain in touch with that mom now?
Just wished her a happy Mother's Day.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm also in touch with Chandler's mom too.
Yeah, well, less so because she's so private around her stuff. But we have, for the young man in our home now, we're planning on getting together with his mom Sunday. So we're getting. Wonderful. So we have a visit scheduled for the first time to meet in person. So get off the phone, and it's a bit of a work to make it happen because where she lives, but we're looking forward to doing that, and we find that really important. It's kind of like families that divorce. When the best scenarios are when you can get along for the child that's in your home, right? There should be no barriers to maintaining civil and healthy relationships, maybe with some boundaries, but good relationships, and it's supportive for everybody.
Which is really child and family centered, and I think
QPI,
that's the QPI model that you were doing even before you knew you were doing something that had a technical name to it. Right. But even for the child, sometimes our kids who come in, especially our adolescents, they have this sense of loyalty to their birth families, no matter what the circumstances are. And the foster parent, could be threatening to that birth family. So when you can, break down those walls and meet one another and know that you're sharing this vested interest in that same child, I can only imagine that it's going to be a more successful placement for everyone.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I think also along with that is siblings. It's crucial because if you think about siblings in your life, they're the longest sustained relationship you have, right? In the natural course of things. Your parents would tend to, by in normal circumstances, pass before you, and your children after you, but your siblings are the ones that share a family narrative and sustained relationship with you for the most part, the longest in your life. And so very important to keep siblings connected, and we're doing the best we can to do that too.
Yeah, that's a beautiful perception of that relationship because it's important. I have the privilege of being a part of our sibling connection camp that we do for DCF. And when you see the siblings who may not be placed together get together for that, kind of carefree being a kid week or several days and overnights, and how difficult it often is for them to leave one another. It's heartbreaking and tender. So whenever children can remain in touch, when it's healthy to do so, because in their best interest to do so,
of course,
that's great.
And that's not always the case,
right?
Fortunately, it has been with us, but we always have to manage that too.
Yeah, because it might not be now. It might be healing and going through, working through the trauma that our kids may face, and eventually there is that person who's sharing their family story, and I think that's important. What specific qualities or skills do you feel are essential in being foster parents? What do you feel is just kind of those no-brainer, when you walk through the door, you need to have these basic skills to be a foster parent?
Humor.
I was going to say humor.
That's always helpful.
Humor.
Yes.
Perseverance. And I guess for me, but it's not about me. So it's about who's in our home at that time and how can I help them? You know, and balancing your life and their lives and everything like that. So, but I would say, yeah, humor, perseverance, and I mean, you have to have a love for children. So, because it can be tough. It can be tough, right? With even your own biological children. So, and it's tougher on them. So that's why I always try to remember that.
Well, and we're blended family, so my kids and her kids and coming together, you know, without very similar to foster care, different expectations, different family styles, different ways of operating, different, you know, different expectations, I think, all the way around, and having to kind of negotiate that with each other and be flexible and not believe you have the only way of thinking about doing things, right? There were, you know, I needed to learn her kids and the way they operated and her parenting strategy, right? And she needed to learn mine, and we needed to have some negotiations around how to, you know, navigate that. And so as foster parents, I think flexibility and not being wed to a specific way of thinking about parenting children, because when a child comes to you, they bring their own unique set of circumstances and experiences, and it's not fair to expect them to fit into your model, right? You need to have some flexibility in meeting people where they're at. And I think that that's probably, and a willingness to learn, right? I think one of the things that we, you know, are open to is learning from our CHR, you know, resources, our village people, right? The folks I work with, or the people I learn from, even other foster parents.
Or even our own family members.
Yeah, so there's just kind of different ways of thinking about the approach.
And you mentioned flexibility and also patience. You know, before offset, when we were getting ready to come on to the show, we talked about how, you know, things happen, and there's appointments, and it's a difficult system to navigate sometimes because there's so many players, right? Because every child's different and every child's needs are going to be different. And to be able to be flexible and be able to be patient with the process. Well, I think you both have all of those skills, and you're perfecting those skills every day, right?
Practice them all.
Yes, yes, you are. Practice makes perfect. Can you recount a tender or heartwarming moment that you may have experienced with one of the children that you have fostered?
Well, I always think of one of our foster sons, and he, you know, was this really big kid, and, you know, it's kind of goofy. And he decided that he was going to name TJ Papa Bear. And then, you know, when he did finally like come into it, because TJ usually kind of makes the first connection with the children we decided to bring in just because of who he is and his work. So, and then he decided to call me Mama Bear, and I just thought that was adorable.
Oh, it is. And it shows what? It shows trust,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then, you know, every time, and he'll introduce, you know, this is my Mama Bear to his friends. So that was, I mean, there's a lot of them, but that one always kind of sticks out with me.
Yeah, and the work that you did to create that safety net for them to identify you as someone other than your name, right?
Yeah.
I have a story that may find a little bit challenging to get to the tender part of it, but we had the first young man we took in stole our car and crashed it on Asylum Avenue, and I get the call, right? Cop puts him on, and the first thing I said to him was, "Are you okay?" And he said, "What?" And I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "All right, I'll be there in a few minutes." And when I got there, he was shocked that I wasn't. I didn't show that I was so angry. I said, "I'm angry, and you know, you shouldn't have taken it. Yeah, you know, you did wrong, right? And you'll pay me back for the car. But the most important thing is I can replace the car. I can't replace you. So don't don't do that. And that I think was a moment for both of us, that in that moment I chose to respond, not react, right? I wanted him to know that he was more important than a car, because he was talking to me. I know he was okay. Lessons to be learned will come. And I wanted him to have a sense that that he mattered and he wasn't lost. I think his expectation, given any other placement he had been in, might have been, you're out, or whatever. And I didn't want that to be his experience of us. And that went on to, I think, change how we saw each other and interacted and how we could move forward, because he came first. And I think that was, for me, tender in the ways that matter.
Oh, it absolutely is. You gave me goosebumps. Because it's true. Our kids deserve to have a response rather than that reaction. And we all have a different way of handling stress, even when we're worried about our children. Some of us are yellers because we're just nervous about that. But, he probably said, this is it. I'm going to have to leave this home.
Right.
But for you, being able to give him that second chance and learning a lesson from it, rather than having it be so punitive that he loses the home that he was beginning to feel safe and connected to. So I think
might have even been a test.
Yeah, it absolutely. And the more we learn about our kids and the honeymoon period and testing us to see if we're really all in, are they willing to meet me where I'm at? Is this going to, or some are uncomfortable feeling that love and that connection, and they don't know what to do with that. Just like you said, he was shocked that you weren't, a different reaction to that.
I do want to finish that by saying that I got more from insurance than I paid for the car, so I made out on it.
It was a win-win.
I mean, I don't want to think that these foster kids are stealing cars and crashing them. Yeah. Okay, that was like a one-off. But
yeah,
and we have 6 children together, and we lived together. All of us lived together. So they certainly got into car accidents too.
None of them were angels.
Yeah.
So it's not okay, like you said, but it's also not the end of the world. Are you okay? Okay, good. You're alive. Let's go from there.
Yeah.
And let's try to learn from this, because it could have gone in a much different direction. Like, not only would you not be able to come back to our house, you could be in jail.
Right.
So we don't want that to happen. So.
And the choice wouldn't have been yours.
No.
At that point,
no.
The choice wouldn't have been yours.
It wouldn't have. So, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. You were just reminded me.
Yeah.
So tell me what you would tell. So if one of our viewers is watching and they're thinking, I just don't know if I could do it. What advice would you give to, I know we talked about the skills and having humor and adaptability, but what advice would you give someone if they were thinking of making that call?
I would say, go for it. Make the call. There are lots of ways in which you can help, but if you have an open bedroom, right? You have a normal, not even a normal, I mean, just the ability to care for a kid and spend time with them. I think that, the supports that you get, the ability to be able to influence a young person and offer them something, won't be without its challenges, of course, like all kids, like our kids.
Right.
But I think the rewards are amazing. You just have to wait a little for some of that, right? Like, our kids were not exactly so thrilled, with all the decisions we made as parents in terms of consequences and rules and structure. But as they're now adults and having children of their own, the relationship is wonderful now looking back. And so I think that if you have the time and you have the capacity, you don't have to have the skill and knowledge, because you'll get the training in that. It is worth stepping forward and saying, let me make it. And you could maybe start out by doing respite, right? You just provide short-term care for kids for a little bit of time until you feel more confident.
Right.
Partner with another foster parent that's doing it, and provide care and exchange stories and experiences. So
That's great advice.
don't let it stop you from taking the next step. There's always something you can.
And by making that next step and calling the Kid Hero line, they're not committing to stepping in. They're really just learning about the program to see that if it's something that works in their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So that's the father perspective. What's the mom's advice?
I would say, make the call. Like, look into it. there are so many different levels that you can contribute to, even I don't even know about. So you do not have to be a full-blown, foster parent, and because that could be scary for people. I get that, but there are so many other things you can do, like the respite, like volunteering, like there's so much. There's such a need out there, not in Connecticut, but the whole country.
Yes.
And that's probably not going to go away anytime soon. So there's always going to be the need, and I just think it's really rewarding. But there isn't just this one thing that you can do. There's a lot of things that you can do. So look into it.
Different ways that they can help. That's great advice. So what would you say is the best reward of being a foster parent? Why do you keep doing it?
Smiles on the faces, connecting with birth families and seeing, those connections. And I know I just keep saying it, but it's rewarding. And at the end of the day, if you can see your own kid, right, grow up and start to be successful, it just touches your heart. And it's the same. It's the exact same. That when you start to see these kids be successful and take those scary steps, and it's just amazing. It really is.
I do it because he teaches me how to use my phone.
Yeah.
My phone, my laptop, all the technology. He teases me all the time. I don't know what I'm doing.
I mean, this age range of adolescence is such a defining time in their lives, from making decisions of sports to play in varsity or JV, or what colleges to go to if you want to further your education, or maybe the U.S. service or tech school, whatever it is, and to have people like the two of you to help them navigate that chapter, because it's a chapter in their lives. You really are helping them to be so successful, in making those decisions that are difficult to make alone, or someone to call when they have a good grade or a problem at school, to feel that love and that commitment, or, a medical problem, and you're here, supporting them through it.
Yeah. I mean, no kid is ready to leave the house when they're 18.
No.
Okay? No kid. I don't care if you grew up in the perfect house, whatever that looks like.
No.
So your kid needs support beyond that. I still call my dad all the time. And I know that I take advantage of that because I know that I have that. But we want these kids to know that they can call upon us, and they do. They do. Yeah.
So when the children leave, do you say...
They leave physically, maybe.
They physically leave, but they still remain a part of your lives.
Yep, they do.
And that's the beautiful
And it's their
piece to
choice
it.
if they want to, maybe not have that as much. But it's never all right, bye. Like, it's, we're here for you. Give us a call and see if we can help, we'll help. If we can't, we can't. There's same for our own biological kids, though. We can help you with that, or maybe let's find a different, direction to get there. So, yeah.
The family is defined in so many different ways, but that common denominator is just having people or someone that is there to cheer you on and support you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for doing what you do. I truly appreciate it, and thank you for the work that you do during your career life as well, and trying to balance that together. So thank you for being on. Thank you to our viewers for watching. If you are interested in learning more about foster care, please call 1-888-KID-HERO, or you can visit us online at the website on the screen. Thank you for watching.
The Saybrook Fish House in Canton has been serving fresh seafood, chicken, and prime steaks for 40 years. Experience one of our 3 unique dining room settings, 2 with fireplaces, or relax in our cozy pub with a craft beer, wine by the glass, or specialty cocktail while enjoying a meal from our new lighter fare pub menu. Serving lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Reservations accepted for parties of 2 to 42. Gift cards always available. The Saybrook Fish House, nestled at the crossroads of routes 44, 202, and 179 in Canton.
Hi, I'm Jay McCormick, a board director at Nutmeg TV, your local public TV station right here in Farmington. Nutmeg TV has been an integral part of our community for over 30 years, providing a platform for residents to share stories, voice concerns, and celebrate achievements. It's a vital resource that connects us all, bringing countless local events to our TV screens. The topics are limitless and vary from being aware of scams to veterans helping veterans. Nutmeg TV continues to be here for the community. To continue this important work, we're asking for your support through a donation. Your contribution will ensure that Nutmeg TV remains a robust and relevant resource for our community. Thank you for supporting Nutmeg TV. Together, we can continue to amplify the voices and stories that make our community unique and vibrant.
To make a donation, simply visit our website at nutmegtv.com or call the office at 860-321-7405 for assistance.